mask has always just been a part of me. It's always represented everything negative from in my past, my present, and my future. It's just always been a part of me. It represents my biggest fears, my biggest regrets, everything. And, I've always liked the darker side of life. I've always liked the darker things in life, whether it's movies, books, music. I've always just liked darker shit. So I had other masks growing up. I had Freddy masks, I had Jason masks, I had Pinhead masks, but none of those masks ever frightened me. None of those masks gave me a fright. But this mask has always frightened me. Even to this day, I'll look at it and it'll just give me a bad taste in my mouth. It'll just gives me the kind of, I wouldn't say chills, but it just puts me off a little bit. And that's why I fucking love it. That's why I love this mask, because it can still do that to this day. I remember I was I think I was 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old, and it was a couple weeks before Halloween, and I remember my father wanted to take me to the Halloween store to get a costume for the school Halloween party. And so him and I went to this Halloween store, and we shopped around and all that, and got the costume I needed for school. And as we were walking to the checkout line, the store had a clearance rack or a discounted masks or something like that, a little section of discounted masks. And I remember walking by and I saw this mask and I stopped. I was like, holy shit. And I remember it scared me. It just scared me. We were throughout that whole Halloween store. We were there for probably 30 minutes. I remember nothing scared me there. I loved that shit. I loved that stuff. Even when I was little, I loved horror. I loved Halloween. And nothing there scared me. But as soon as I saw this mask, I was frightened. I was generally that's a scary fucking mask. That mask is scary. And so I must have told my dad that, and he started laughing or whatever. He's like, you should get it. We should get it. Bring it home. I thought he was joking or whatever, but he's like, let's get it. And, I was like, I didn't want to be a little scaredy cat in front of my father, so I was like, yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. So, my dad ended up buying it. We brought it home. Halloween passes and the mask ends up getting thrown into, a bin. Never used. Didn't use it on Halloween. Never, just kind of tossed it in the storage bin and away it went. A couple months after that, I remember one night I was in the basement in the TV room. And the way the TV room is laid out is there's the couch against the wall. And then there's right next to the couch is actually touching the side wall, and the wall continues to go down a little bit. And the TV's here, and then the door to the room is right here. So I'm looking, door's here, TV's here. And I remember it was later at night, it wasn't too late, I was only 10 years old, but I was by myself and I was watching TV. And I remember hearing all of a sudden a tap, 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 tap. And I was just like, what the fuck? It was just a light tap. It wasn't like a boom, it was just a little tap. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I was wondering what that was. And I will never forget, about a couple seconds after I heard that tap, I saw peek from the doorway the mask, and the mask just staring at me. I remember I freaked out so fucking bad. I freaked out so bad. I was so startled and scared, and I was just off. I was just put off. And all of a sudden I hear my dad laughing and laughing and laughing. And he had put the mask on and covered himself with an old blanket and crouched like an old hag, like the mask. And oh man, it just frightened the hell out of me. So, through my childhood, my father would, every now and then would scare me with this mask. I would be walking down the stairs to the basement one night and I would turn the lights on and my dad would be in the corner of the room with the mask on, just staring. And I would see it out of the corner of my eye looking at him, just freaked me the fuck out. He'd laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. Fast forward to about 14 years old, 13, 14 years old, I started taking interest in scaring people with this mask. I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. My parents would have company over and I would put the mask on and sneak upstairs and scare my parents' friends. And I would have friends come over to hang out and I would go in the other room and while, they were playing video games or something and I'd creep behind them with the mask and scare them and it was the best thing ever. I loved it. I loved scaring people with this mask. What I loved about it was everybody gets scared, right? Like, oh, they get startled. And then after they're laughing like, oh, you son of a bitch, you scared me, What I loved and what made me feel, especially as a kid, feel so powerful and in control was when I could make them, this little kid could make a grown man scared. That made me feel so strong and powerful. And I loved doing it. So I fell in love with scaring people. I loved it. After a couple of years, once I hit 17, 18, 16, those late teens, the mask became much more than just a scare prop. I went through the darkest times of my life in my late teens, even before the drug addiction. I mean, this was purely psychological, psychotic issues, and it was the hardest time of my life, hardest time by far. And I would have these rage fits and these episodes, and I remember after these episodes would occur, I would be in my room, my mother would be in tears all night, my father would be distraught, or teachers would be distraught, friends, whoever I heard that night. And I remember I felt so shitty after I would have these episodes. I felt like the shittiest person in the world. I was so embarrassed. I asked myself, why the fuck am I like this? Why am I like this? Why is this happening? Why am I this crazy fucking psycho tearing and ruining and destroying everybody that loves me and everything that I love? Why am I doing that? And I could never understand why. I was on all types of antipsychotic medication, depression pills, all this bullshit. And so I'm sure that had a lot to do with this, but I just remember the mask I would have under my bed. And after a fit, I would put the mask on and I would literally stare in the mirror with this mask on. And I would just, all the doubt and the regret and the embarrassment would go away. And I felt like I could literally hide behind the mask. And I felt so much better wearing this mask and being able to hide behind it. It was almost like I could be a different person for that moment with the mask on. And so that mask and I grew a very strong bond over those years because nobody knew that. Nobody knows. This is the first time I'm ever fucking talking about this shit. And nobody knows this. It's always been between me and the mask. And I would just sit in my room. I remember I would have this mask on. I'd sit in my room and I'd have the mask on while I'm texting, while I'm listening to music. I'd wear this mask when I was alone. And it just made me feel better. I don't know if the medication was sparking a lot of this interest. I didn't know if that was just the way my brain was developing and what was happening, and I don't know. But it made me who I am today. And I am not ashamed of it, and this is why I'm finally, opening up about it. But that mask has always been a part of me. So when I moved to California, the mask came with me. Even before music was a fucking thought. When I moved to California, I knew the mask was gonna be with me. It wasn't even a question. And so I packed my bags and the mask went with me. So when I started to do this music. When I started doing music, I knew I wanted to incorporate the mask somehow. The first thought was, what if, no, I never show my real face? What if I do like a Slipknot type vibe and do what Slipknot did? What if I just always wear the mask? And that never ended up happening. So I wanted to incorporate the mask somehow. I mean, I remember my first mixtape, first project, the cover of my first project ever. It was me choking this girl with the mask on. The back cover was me looking in the camera with the mask on. And it's just, from the jump, it's always been with me. And I want that mask, now that I am able to share and express my pain in my life with my fans, I want my fans to be able to have a mask of their own and use that mask as their own way to hide behind the pain and to be the person they've always wanted to be and not be judged while that mask is on their face. And that's just the love of the mask. And I'll forever be thankful for the friendship that mask gave me and for the bond that I've had with that mask. Who knew that, a piece of rubber could be so special to somebody? It's crazy, but I don't regret a thing. And that mask will always be a part of sKitz Kraven.